This video will come in two parts because we believe an investment portfolio is built in two parts. So the first part's going to be for a beginner to an intermediate investor, and the second part's going to be more of what we call an advanced investor. So depending on you as a person, on how far you want to go with property, different parts of these videos are going to work for you. But I'm going to start with the basics, guys. So we're going to start with the basics. Here we go over here. So normally when I meet someone, they've got their own home, but if you don't, that's okay. If you're renting, rent investing is becoming a huge thing nowadays as well. But this is just a generic way of showing you guys how we build out a portfolio. So the first one is, and they will normally have a loan of some type, right? If you already own your home, you know what? That's the great Aussie dream, fantastic. But if you don't, it's okay to invest in property if you have a loan, as long as you're investing within your means. Now, the first thing we do is we don't want our clients to go under pressure with an investment property. So there's all different styles of investment properties, and I have done that in other videos, but hopefully you've watched them. But at the end of the day, what it works is we come out here using the equity from this house here, we go out and we buy an investment property. Now, the first choice of property can be different depending on the person, but on a, I suppose, generic basis, we would come out here and buy what we call a dual income property. So that's not a house. That is normally a multi-tenanted property, which can range from a dual key, duplex, something along those lines, where you've got two properties on the one title. Normally these are what we call higher cash flow properties. So they're getting a lot more rent than what a standard house will get. So this property here might give you, say, $100 a week in what we call positive cash flow. Now, that's great, right? But what we've got to do from that is, this is what we call a cash flow property. Once you're settled and you have all that in mind, what you can do from there is you can go out the next one and you can buy a property potentially in a, potentially is the word here, in a higher capital growth pocket, but it might have a lower rent yield. So you might go and buy a 3, 4 or 5 bedroom house. Now, when you go out and buy this house here, the problem you might come across is it might be negative cash flow. But that's okay if this is negative cash flow, because we've got the positive cash flow property here. So what we do is, between these two, we marry these together and both properties look after each other. So if everyone understands what I've got to here, is we've bought two properties and we haven't affected your personal cash flow whatsoever. So you've got to make sure you buy the right dual income properties and the right style of house and land property with all the right rents and all the right prices to make sure they come together and unite as one. And that's very important when you're putting a portfolio together like this. Now, depending on what you're doing and depending on where your, you could say your profile is or your personality is, you might go, Wayne, that was easy. And I get this a lot. Let's go out and do that again. So you come across here and you do the same thing again, right? Now, realistically, as long as the bank's going to lend you money, you can keep doing this over and over again. And this is what I call your foundation of your portfolio. So you've got these two properties looking after themselves, these two properties looking after themselves, and we still haven't affected your house or your own personal cash flow. We have used the equity between each property to put all this together, but this is what we call putting together a foundation. Now, you as an investor might say, listen, this is the most I'm ever going to do. And that's okay, guys. I'm not here to say you need 20 properties to retire. We're buying properties to change your life, whether it's to pay down debt, whether it's to bring more cash flow in, whatever the means are. So the next thing is, okay, we've got this foundation of a portfolio. What do we do now? So there's a number of different things. And people say to me, Wayne, when do I sell? When do I do this? And I'll be honest with you, you have to wait. You have to be patient. You have to wait for the market to determine which property is going to outperform others, and then you make decisions upon that year on what you should do. So what I mean by that is, you might get a scenario where this house and land here has risen in value, and just say, for example, you owe $300,000 on your home over here. You might be able to sell this house and clear. So what I say clear, I mean without capital gains tax. You can clear $300,000 and pay down your mortgage. Now, depending on when you're watching this video, we've done tons of this year, tons of this scenario where we've been able to sell property and pay down debt. But the other option too is you might be saying, Wayne, I'm comfortable with looking after my home loan by myself. I'm more interested in building your portfolio. So believe it or not, people are out there going, my home loan's not scaring me. I'm in control of that. I'm not worried about paying that debt off. What I am worried about is bringing more cash flow into our life. So instead of taking this 300 grand or whatever number this works out to be, you could then pay off your dual income property. Now the average dual income property, that'll give you between a $40,000 to $50,000, in most cases, gross rental income. But if you can pay off a dual income property, you could have between $35,000 and $45,000 of cash flow coming in every single year for the rest of your life. So it's very important when you're building out these portfolios that you get someone like myself that can tell you when to sell and what to do with it and how it's going to impact your scenario. So guys, this is how we do from beginner to intermediate. Beginner, of course, I'll be honest, is just property one. Intermediate is when you get to more than 2 properties. So the whole idea is to say, set up this foundation of your portfolio and then feel from that point, what do you want to do? Some people will just keep adding these properties, and other people will go to more in an advanced portfolio, which I'll talk about in a minute in a second video. But guys, this is what we call a beginner to intermediate style of investment. It's a secure, safe way of putting it together. And from the timing of it will come down to you guys. Whether you put this together in 1 year or 5 years or 10 years, it's all going to come down to you guys. So it's very important you invest within your comfort zones. Do it safely, but do it smart, guys. This is the smart way of putting together a foundation for your portfolio. But guys, in my next video, I'm going to show you how to basically build out an advanced portfolio and turn that into cash flow streams to either retire early or retire on more money down the track. Thank you.